Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Leaders Are Learners Academy. My name is Kevin Wayne Johnson, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Johnson Leadership Group, where we focus every day on providing leadership development training and executive coaching for all of the frontline, mid level, and senior level leaders across five different venues, and they would be government, corporations, churches, nonprofits, and academia. And I'm also the creator of the Leaders Are Learners Academy. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for making an investment in yourself and your career progression and your leadership journey. This Lunch and Learn is just that. It's an opportunity to learn during the lunch hour. So some of you have a half an hour and some of you have a full hour and others have maybe 90 minutes, but this is an opportunity to take advantage of the curriculum, the agenda, the different images that we have for you, and also videos that are embedded into this particular course that's titled Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And we'll be spending some time together. I will be your facilitator and I will be your instructor as we walk through the material. The way that the course is structured for you is that you have a number of different resources and you will be able to stop and pause at your leisure to take a time to reflect and think. I will also encourage you to break out your notepad and your notebook as well as your paper and your pen and pencil, and please jot down some notes and ideas that come to you as we go through this time. We're going to be spending time looking at the fact that a lot of us have dialogue and conversation and communications along the way, but we don't spend enough time connecting to the recipient. So the intended message often is interrupted and is never received in the manner it was intended. So we're going to be offering you strategies and principles and nuggets and tools and tips that you can carry in both your personal as well as your professional life as well. So we have for you here an opportunity to take a look at least two of the videos that we have provided for you. You'll find those in the resources section as you go through the curriculum. One is going to be around the theme of team, Team, and the other one will be a short interview by the late Steve Jobs as he walks us through the process of managing people. And it's really interesting to hear his comments around communication. And then there's also one image that I have uploaded for you as well, also around the theme of team, Team. In addition to that, you'll have access to the PowerPoint presentation that we'll go through. You'll have access to a trifold brochure that has been uploaded. That's for you as well. And I can invite you in advance to take advantage of the masterclass that we have available in this academy as well, where we have a chance to go a little bit deeper and cover a lot more material as it relates to everyone communicates, few connect. Some of you probably have noticed my shirt. I was very deliberate and very intentional in wearing my 2016 Summer Olympics shirt in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. My family and I attend the Summer Olympics every 4 years because I absolutely love visiting the host city where we get a chance to take in the culture and do sightseeing, taste the great food in the local restaurants, and then equally important, we get an opportunity to view a number of the sporting events with the athletes that represent approximately 115 nations around the world across 33 different sports. And it's really amazing. And what's really interesting about this topic around communication is There are millions of us that find ourselves in that host city watching the Summer Olympics for approximately 2 weeks. And most of us don't look alike. Most of us are from different cultures, and most of us speak different languages. But there's a way that we all connect by the unique ways that we communicate. We're rooting for our nation and those athletes that represent our nation. And we don't speak the same language, but we are able to really understand what each other are communicating because we're able to connect, because we're there for the same reason. So I was very intentional and very deliberate in wearing this particular shirt for this particular session. So Maxwell is a world renowned leadership guru. He's been in that space for probably a good 2 decades. He's written well over 30 books, sold well over 25 million copies, and he's recognized around the world, not just the United States of America, as one of the top leadership experts. Presidents of nations call upon him, CEOs of major corporations call upon him. He has a background in both ministry and in the corporate space. And he's also a very dynamic speaker as well and trainer. And he says that if you ask me, what's the one thing you can do to be more successful? I'd say learn to communicate. Communication opens up the opportunity to build bridges, to connect with people, to have the opportunity to partner and collaborate. And also, it helps us to be able to understand the common ground that we all stand on, but we often don't know because we haven't communicated, we haven't talked, we haven't had discussion and dialogue. So we start out with this lunch and learn by this quote by this really, really important person in our leadership journey because he's been there for decades and he really understands the subject. Now, connecting increases our influence in every situation. So, as a leader, you and I are entrusted to lead others. We've already demonstrated that we can do the job. We can roll up our sleeves, get things done. We've been excellent. We've been a high performer. We've produced at a very high level. Now our organizations trust us at the next level as a leader to take care of the people that will now do the work. And so having a good conversation and entering into good dialogue with people and the whole theme around communication has everything to do with increasing our influence in every situation. And you see here that handshake represents mutual agreement. It also represents connection. You see how they have eye contact, and it just brings a smile to everyone's face to know that the connection is happening because it's a difference maker. It really, really means a great deal. So we feel that the Harvard Business Review is on point because the Harvard Business Review has put out publicly for everyone to consume that the number one criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is the ability to communicate effectively, to get the intended message out, to get people to understand the why, the how, the who, the when, in terms of communicating that message, whether it's email, instant message, voicemail, town hall meeting, directive, memorandum, staff meeting. There's so many different ways to communicate our message, but the number one criteria for us to advance and for us to secure promotion is the ability to communicate effectively. That's the operative word right there, effectively. This is coming from the Harvard Business Review, and they've done some extensive research, not just on this topic, but a myriad of different topics to help us to understand how we can be much more effective in our career progression and in our leadership journey as well. Now, we did some research, and we are in alignment with Robert Dallek. He's a presidential historian here in the United States of America, and a number of years ago, he came up with what we call 5 skills and qualities of successful U.S. presidents. Now, the word success is subjective because it means different things to different people. Success is not one word that means the same with everybody. Some of us associate success with perhaps the house we live in or the car we drive, the zip code that we live in, perhaps the school district. Some people might equate success with just being a great parent with good children, or being happily married, or the amount of money that we make, or the position or title that we have. It's all over the place depending on who you ask. People come up with different responses, and that's okay. But as it relates to successful US presidents, 5 areas really stood out from this presidential historian. So the first one is vision. The next one is pragmatism. The third one is consensus building across both sides of the aisle. The next one is charisma, just being able to really kind of connect with people with a smile, eye to eye contact, knowing what to say, when to say it, depending on who the audience is, and then being trustworthy. These are the 5 skills and qualities of successful presidents. And when you take a look at these 5, think about it just for a minute. Each of these opens up a pathway for us to not just communicate our message, but for us to also be able to connect with people. So having a vision, how we actually make something happen, being pragmatic, in other words, using practical approaches to getting things done, things that people can relate to and people can support, consensus building, getting people with different views and different thoughts and different opinions to come together in a like-minded way and get things done. And then there's charisma, just being respectful and using relationships to move forward into the future and toward that desired outcome. And then someone who's trustworthy. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'd actually follow up and do it. When I give my word that I will follow through on an initiative or project, then I actually do that. And then over time, I'm demonstrating that I am trustworthy, and you are as well. Now, think about this just for a minute as you watch this young lady lead this particular meeting. It appears that she has the attention of everybody there in the room, and she got a big smile on her face. So connecting, John Maxwell teaches us, is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in a way that increases your influence with them. So I'm going to ask for you just for a minute to just pause and write down some notes there in your notepad based upon this thought and this perspective from Maxwell. Connecting is the ability to identify with and relate to people in a way that increases your influence with them. So, whether it's your personal development or your professional development, think about some ways that you have been able to identify with people and relate to them as a means of having them to now want to follow you or want to do what you ask them to do. That's really what influence is all about. And in some of our other sessions, we've already learned that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, but we want it to be a positive influence because that is truly the difference maker. So think about it, write some things down because I want you to have an opportunity to reflect and to have a self assessment in terms of things that you can put to practice to better connect with people. Remember the title, Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect. And when you jot down those thoughts, I also want you to, at a future time, to be able to come back and sort of think about it and reflect upon it in terms of those ways that you've identified that you can identify and relate to people such that at the end of the day, it increases your influence with them. Now, to your left, you'll see men and women, and you'll see where we have A, B, and C. The roads lead to different paths, right? The roads lead to different outcomes, and they take us into different places. But here's the ultimate question: what do you do when everyone you are leading or speaking to has different values, different beliefs, or different ideas? I want you to think about this particular question as well, and also begin the process of jotting down some ideas and thoughts that come to your mind. Because when it's all said and done, we do find ourselves in the midst of people who do have different values, different beliefs, and different ideas. It's just inevitable. It's part of our leadership journey. For example, people that you work with grew up in different geographical regions around the country. People that you work with have different personalities, different conflict management styles, different leadership styles, different work experiences, and different years on the job. People that you find yourself surrounded by have different levels of education. And then, equally important, in addition to all of that, we have a number of different people that we're working with that represent different generations. And different generations have different ways of processing information, communicating, and getting things done in their life. So, what do you do when everyone you are leading or speaking to has different values, beliefs, or ideas? And just start to write some things down because it'll give you clarity when you have an opportunity to come back and take a listen and also to take a look at this material and this curriculum. It'll jot some things down and it'll stir up some memories, if you would, in terms of how you go about leading or speaking to these different people. And that's what the A, B, and C represents because they're different roads leading to different outcomes. But you and I are expected as leaders to be able to help them, support them, advocate for them, and be that top cover for them in terms of what they need in their personal as well as their professional development. And so you'll see here to your left, look at all these different people. They're looking up at us, they're looking for direction, they're looking for guidance, they're looking for their next assignment. And leadership is all about others. It really is. Because again, as a leader, you have already demonstrated that you have the subject matter expertise to get things done. You've already demonstrated that. And so your leaders notice that, and they have tapped into you and moved you to the next level. So now that have done that, you can now be the person that develops and leads those who are now going to do the work. Now, on any given day, you can roll up your sleeves and get it done, but that's not what you're being compensated for. You're being compensated now to train and develop and to provide resources for those that will get the work done. And that's the big difference. So leadership is all about others, and so is connecting. Being able to connect with people, eye to eye contact, a smile because we present ourselves as friendly and approachable, making sure that we are knowledgeable about what we're communicating so the acumen and the intelligence comes across, being a person that's trustworthy. People know they can count on us because they trust us. Because as we have learned in other lessons, trust is the glue and the tape that keeps everything together. So, again, in your notepad, feel free to jot down a few thoughts and a few ideas around leadership is all about others. And when you take a look at the videos that we've provided, you'll see once again the team concept. TEAM. You'll see a video there, and it stands for Together Everyone Achieves More. And then you'll also get a chance to hear from Steve Jobs, the former CEO of Apple, and you'll hear him give a brief synopsis on managing people, because that's really what we are here for. Leadership is all about others, and so is connecting. Now, this is a very interesting diagram for us to think about as it relates to our individual effort and our teamwork effort. Again, team, TEAM, together everyone achieves more. And what's really interesting about this is that you'll see on the x-axis at the bottom, that symbolizes our effort, and the y-axis on the left symbolizes our productivity. Now, what this particular diagram is intended to show us is that together as a team, we are much more productive than we are individually trying to do it ourselves. And in part, you and I were created to be relational. And so being able to form relationships with others and maintain and sustain those relationships is key to our forward momentum. And always remember that in your career progression and in your leadership journey. Always remember that. And so what you'll see here in blue is representative of our individual effort. And you'll see in red, that's representative of the teamwork effort. And so individually, we're working linearly, and 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. But in the format of a team, we're working exponentially, and now 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. And so linear versus exponential comes out to be, in terms of productivity, a big difference. And you'll see as that line continues to go north, exponential, and as the linear line continues to go to the right, you'll see that the teamwork is going to produce a much higher level of productivity than the individual effort. And so being able to connect, being able to build bridges, being able to get people to come together in collaboration, cooperation, and partnership makes a really, really big difference in our lives and in the lives of those that we are leading. So that's really what this diagram is intended to show visually in terms of 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6, but 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. And if we were to continue to add on to that, the linear progression would continue to go to the right. It would increase a little, but nowhere near the exponential line if we went 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now we're going to 16, but 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is only going to get us to 8. And it will just continue to go north in an exponential manner. And so this is very helpful. During your time, take another look at this, and you can continue to expand it even more and more and more. And you'll see that teamwork is always better than individual work, because connecting is so key and it's so important to everything that we do. So there's the group of people again there on the left that we just saw in the previous diagram. And this is very true. Connectors realize that if they could just get together 10% out of everyone on the team, just an additional 10%, then it adds up to far more than they can contribute by themselves. So being a connector by way of the way that we communicate, in part, if we can just get another 10%, that's all, just another 10% out of everyone on the team, then it adds up to far more than they can contribute by themselves. So that's the example of what we call exponential results, also synergistic as well. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're looking to achieve, because this is one of the many, many, many different desired outcomes that comes from connecting. Remember, everyone communicates, few connect. And when we are able to connect, it is truly a difference maker. Now, connecting goes beyond just being a natural skill. Connecting is something that does have to be taught, because as professional men and women, we don't know what we don't know. And leaders are learners, right? And leaders are readers as well. And the whole concept behind the Leaders Are Learners Academy is just that. It's an ongoing, recurring thing that never stops. So you and I are in a position where even in our leadership roles, we are always interested, because we have a hunger and a thirst to learn more. And that's a good thing. And the more we learn, the more we can pass it on to those that we are entrusted to lead. And you'll see here that there's good dialogue and good discussion and good communication going on with these two men and these two women, which is a really, really good thing. You see there's a smile on everyone's face. That's a sign that they're connecting. And they're not necessarily in agreement, but they have formulated relationships that now they can move forward in what it is that they're looking to achieve. John D. Rockefeller reminded us many, many, many different years ago that all great speakers were at one time bad speakers first. So true. Because we're always working to improve our craft. We're always working to develop and improve in everything that we do. So this particular circle of men and women is synonymous with some of the work that takes place with Toastmasters, where different people get an opportunity to stand up right where they are for about 5 minutes or less and just say something about themselves and a particular topic that interests them, with the intent of getting others to resonate with the message and to get feedback when they're done. But it's a process. Some of our best orators, that you know of and that I know of have been at it for a very, very long time. It just takes time to get good at anything that we do. And so, if a person is on the stage now behind the podium with a microphone and they make it look so effortless in terms of how they articulate, the points they make, how they tell their story, how they're able to connect with the audience, trust me, it took years to get there because at one time they were a bad speaker. And I'm the first to raise my hand when I go out and speak in front of people. It's taken years to, number one, just to be comfortable in standing in front of people because public speaking is recognized as one of the top three biggest fears that people have. I no longer sweat. I no longer have my knees shaking, and I'm able to remember exactly what my message is, and I'm able to deliver it effectively. But this is what this represents. And just remember, when it comes to connecting with people through our communication, it takes practice and it takes a while, and that's quite okay. So, for those of you that are interested in learning more about becoming a really, really good speaker, you can just reach out into your local community and find out what organizations are available that perhaps you could join or just attend a meeting to get more insight into being comfortable and becoming a great communicator, a really good orator, because that's part of the way that we connect with others. So here's that young lady again to the left. She's leading her meeting. Everyone looks attentive and she has a smile on her face. She's using body language and she's using proper facial gestures. So here are some factors here for connecting. 5 factors to connect. Number one is relationships. You and I are created to be relational. We are created to be in relationships with other people, personal and professional relationships. It's part of who we are. It's not normal to be isolated or to do everything independently or individually. We all need help, and that's what relationships can do for us. And it's a key factor as it relates to connecting. The next one is insight. Having some insight and some forethought into your audience, whether it's one-on-one or a small team of maybe 5 to 10 people, or even a bigger organization of 25 people or more, having some insight into what's on the mind and heart of that person or people, and being able to discern what it is that they are looking to achieve as a part of the relationship that's been established. That's part of what insight is all about. The next one is success. Now remember, success is a subjective word. It means different things to different people, but it is a factor when it comes to connecting. So one of the things that we can do is maybe in our conversations with people, find out from their perspective, what is success? What does success mean to them? And our connection to them in terms of being able to influence them as a leader is to really tap into how they define success. What does it mean? Does it mean being promoted to the next level? Does it mean leading that next big project? Find out what that means, and that's a great way to make the connection. The next one is ability. Ability gets into our knowledge and our skills and our understanding, and then our ability to get things done so that we can connect with other. It goes beyond just the words we say, but it also includes the actions that we take, because as a leader, we are an example and we are a model. People are watching. They don't always say anything, but they are definitely watching. And that's where the trust comes in, because if what we say matches what we do, now we're building trust and we're increasing our influence. And then the last area here is sacrifice. What additional steps do you and I take in order to connect with people? We go above and beyond. Do we come in early to have a conversation with someone? Do we stay late to have a conversation with someone? Do we carefully listen to what others have to say? All of that is part of the sacrifice that we make. So jot these down for sure. 5 factors for connecting. Come in alignment with each of these. And I would even encourage you that under relationships, make some notes in terms of some key people that you have relationships with. And under two, under insight, write down some thoughts about how you can gain better insight and discernment into what people are thinking so that you can use that as a means to connect with them. Under number 3, I would jot down some ideas and thoughts around not only how you define success, but how people in your sphere of influence define success. You may talk to 8 different people, and each of the 8 people define success slightly differently. Number 4, again, leaders are learners. So where are you as it relates to your ability to be able to learn these strategies and principles so that you can better connect with people? And then number 5, what sacrifices are you willing to make, and or what sacrifices are you already making that you can continue to make as a means to not only communicate more effectively, but also be able to connect with people? Max Dupree kind of reminds us here that there may be no single thing more important in our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn to practice the art of communication. And that's it right there. If you have an opportunity, just underline that. To learn to practice the art of communication. That's Max Dupree. Very important. Again, it's ongoing, it's recurring, it's continual, it never stops. Leaders are readers, and leaders are learners. And communication and our ability to connect with others is perhaps one of the most important tools that you'll add to your toolbox. So, influence is not about impressing people, it is about connecting with them. Because people already know that you're in a position of authority, so we don't have to spend time reminding them of that. But connecting with them, having relationships with them, presenting yourself as friendly and approachable, building trust and rapport with them. That's how we connect, and that's how we're able to get things done, and that's how we're able to increase our influence as leaders. Now, take a quick look here at this image and jot down what you see, because different people see different things. Take a note of what it is that you actually see. And this is really sort of a test to see how well you're able to connect with what's happening here in this image. And as you're writing it down, I'm just going to give you some things to think about. And some of you might actually see the image that's really pronounced in the black, and it may look like perhaps a bedpost or maybe even a lamp. It might even look like a chessboard piece, or perhaps some other type of an image that I didn't necessarily name, but that might be the actual image that you see, and that might be all that you see. Others of you may not actually see that at all, and you might see the image in the white where it appears that it's a face And they're actually two faces that are pointing toward each other. And you may see a nose, you may see an image of lips, and you may see an image of chins and two faces looking at one another. And the idea behind this particular image is to just sort of share with you what happens when we're able to connect. Now, if you see one and not the other, it's not a foul, it's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of what you are focusing on, what you're connecting with. Others of you might see both, and that kind of gives you an idea of how you connect based upon what you see. So there's no wrong answer, but the purpose of this particular image is just to bring to your attention that there are a lot of different people within our sphere of influence, and how we go about connecting with each of those people will be slightly different. And so it is, this image gives us the opportunity to see different images, perhaps based on how we're looking at it. And you can take away either the image that's superimposed in the black, or the image that appears in the white, or a combination of both. And that's the purpose of this particular image, just to kind of get you to think and to remember that during your career progression and during your leadership journey, there will be opportunities to connect with a lot of different people along the way. And just keep that in mind. So, common ground is the point where everyone's needs, underline that, everyone's needs, beliefs, and values intersect. Okay, that's common ground. Because when it's all said and done, we have a lot more in common than we have differences. It doesn't matter your culture, your gender, your ethnicity, your educational background, your years of experience. We have much more in common than we have differences, but we'll never know unless we have a conversation. And so that's why we say everyone communicates, few connect. We can have a conversation, but if we're not making that connection, if we're not finding the common ground, it just won't be as effective, and we won't be able to effectively increase our influence. But if we can get to that point where we really, really understand and identify everyone's needs, beliefs, and values, now we're talking about coming together on common ground. So I want to thank you so very much for your attention, for your participation, for your partnership and your collaboration during this lunch and learn. Again, you have an opportunity to pause, rewind, go back, review the PowerPoint presentations. You can go back and take a look again at the image that we just saw just a couple of minutes ago. Go back and review the videos, and you can also take a look at the other image that we have for you that we posted as well, of TEAM, Together Everyone Achieves More. I want to thank you so much. I want to wish you all the best on your leadership journey and your career progression. And again, thank you for making the investment into your career. We really, really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed spending some time with you. Again, my name is Kevin Wayne Johnson. If you have any questions, or if you need to reach out, you can reach me at the Johnson Leadership Group at gmail.com, the Johnson Leadership Group at gmail.com. Again, thank you so much. All the best to you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.